Every day.
Welcome, welcome. We are live today.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Good to see you here at H&D Abroad. I am Herman.
I'm Dee, and this is the conversation I've been waiting to have. And when our guest said, "You can ask me any questions," I was like, I'm first in line. Because we are looking for our place on the continent. As one of the places that we would like to either be able to get residency or citizenship. So we're going to try talking through a few of those things with our guests today, and probably at least one future guest as well. So if you are new to our channel, we are bopping around the globe virtually by inviting guests to our channel and also sharing the decisions and all of the pieces of the move abroad puzzle that we are navigating on our journey to move abroad in 2025. So if that seems interesting to you, we invite you to
Absolutely. We ask you to, first of all, like this video.
Like this one. This one right
now. This particular one. You don't have to take a minute. We'll wait. See how I did that? Yeah. And then, go ahead and share this with a friend, because these conversations build even after we've stopped the broadcast. And we want these conversations to continue for anybody who's interested in the topics that we provide. And most importantly of all, please subscribe to our channel. Because
the notification bell
and ring the bell, because whenever we're here, we want you to be a part of this conversation, because no matter what we do, no matter who we're talking to, this is a conversation.
Which means what?
Which means that you're not just listening to us. And in this conversation, we learn from you as much as we hope you're learning from the information that we share and the people that we invite on our channel. If you are watching us from the future, you are part of this conversation also.
Absolutely.
Please go into the comment section, hit #replay, and add your thoughts. We read them all. We read them regularly, daily, and we comment to every comment that we get. So be a part of this conversation. We'll start off by giving a shout out to all the people who've been brave enough to drop their name in the chat. Please drop into the chat. Tell us you're here. So don't need no man. Hey, I'm glad you're here. I ain't mad at you.
Absolutely. Hi, Dr. Linda.
The famous Dr. Linda and the great prophet mother here. Good to see you.
Hi, Tori. Good to see you. Hi, the boss lady.
The boss lady.
Welcome.
I ain't even arguing with that. So so some housekeeping.
Yes.
The ever intelligent, wonderful Mrs. D continues to be growing and learning. I want to encourage you to join her page, our second addition to this page. She wasn't expecting this, but I think it's important that you become a part of the
Big Sistula. So if you the audience for the second page is for women that are already abroad. They are digital nomads. They are slow travelers, and they are having growing their families abroad. So that is what that channel focus is, to talk about the benefits and how others are navigating the birth and postpartum space outside of their home country. So yes. So
we are on our way to doing some traveling. So we will be looking to look forward to the content of our very extensive, very exciting travel that we have coming up over the holiday season.
Yeah.
And in January, we ask that you begin to watch for. We mentioned it in the past, but we really have been trying to get ourselves together. But be prepared for your convince someone you love is convince your partner masterclass.
Yeah.
Um,
You will learn about that by going to the newsletter.
Thank you.
So
My
we are
brain
announcing, we're announcing the dates. And it is supposed to be, we are building it to be an intimate conversation. So this is video to video, where we're sharing our experience and some tips that we've learned coaching other couples, so that you can successfully have either the starter conversation or work through where you and your partner might have gotten stuck. So it's nice to have different perspectives.
Correct.
And that's what we think we bring to this Move Abroad space. So
this conversation today, let's jump in both feet. This conversation is important because whenever we have a conversation about the mother continent,
yes,
it is, I believe, to some degree or the other, personal to all of us. It has varying levels of importance and we have various feelings. Everybody has their feelings about being on the continent for a variety of reasons. When Dee first came to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking to move abroad. Is there any way you wanted to go?" Africa was
number one
on my list because I think that exploring our history, where we were, is sometimes easiest where we're from.
Yes.
And I think we as a Black people are one of the most disconnected from our lineage history than any other culture. Because the world thinks Africa country instead of Africa continent. There's also a lot of misinformation about the vastness, the fact that it is minimized on maps and globes, and wanting to reclaim and be a part of that history. The trick has been, what's the place for us to, and we haven't had a chance yet to do much Africa exploration, but it is on our definite list. And this conversation today, not just when we talk to native continent people, like great people like Dr. Linda, but when we have people who say, "I packed my bag and I moved over yonder," as they say down here in the South, we want to have that conversation. So I'm going to let you.
So I also love this conversation because it's a Southern girl to a Southern girl. So she understands when I say, "How humid is it?" She understands when I say soul food. I think there's a lot that can be translated from this conversation to the American Black experience and its connection to an evolving understanding of our relationship to our home continent. So let's go ahead. Hello, Barbara.
Hold on, let me get her in here.
Hello.
There we go.
There we go.
Hello.
We welcome you. We're glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
I'll give you a.
Yeah, okay, so as most of our guests, Barbara is a fellow Exodus Summit sister. She began to share about her life, her move, her experience with saying, "It's time to go, and it is time to go now." And what I have paid most attention to there's a lot of good stuff happening in Exodus Summit if you are not connected, but the 60 plus women, like, these are the ladies I'm like, lead me, tell me. And they do it with such kindness and care, but they will give two fingers to processes that don't serve them well. So if Ghana is serving Barbara well, then I know that it can be open and embrace many of us. So Barbara, this part of the conversation is just you sharing your background of why move abroad and then why Ghana. So wherever you would like to start with sharing, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you. good evening, good afternoon in the States, good evening here in Ghana. It's 7:30 in the evening here. We're 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. And just before I start right quick, I'm very nervous. However, on the screen, I just needed to say hello to a few of my friends and family that I see are on. And I see my friend Aquila. She's also in Ghana, and she's showing up as My Ghana Life. She's in the comments. Hi, Aquila. And my niece, Annalise, she's a globetrotter also. She's here. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking down at my other phone. So I want to say hello to everybody first who tuned in to be here to support me. And I thank you all. And I love you all so much.
Absolutely.
So much.
Welcome to us as well. Absolutely.
Thank you. So my name is Barbara Sutton, and I live in Ghana. And I live in a little community called Winneba. It is in the central region of Ghana. Where I'm located, my home, I actually moved from the States. I was living in Rockdale County in Metro Atlanta, and I moved from the States to Ghana 4 years ago this October. 4 years ago this October. And I built a home here and created my nest of family and friends here. And of course, I have my family in the States who I love dearly. And I have been back to the States probably as many times as in the last 4 years. I've been back and forth about three or four times. So my mom is there. I have 2 daughters in the States, sisters, brothers, nieces, nephews, cousins, co-workers, everything. So, but this was a big move for me. This was a big move. And I will start off by saying I had no intention of moving to Ghana. Okay. 4 years ago, I had no intentions of moving to Ghana. My oldest daughter planted the seed of moving to Ghana. And when our current re-elect 47 was running to be 45, my oldest daughter said, "Mom, I think we need to look at being somewhere else." Excuse me, it's really hot here. And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "So where are we going?" My oldest daughter's name is Zuri. I said, "So where are we going, Zuri?" And she said, "Ghana." And I said, "Where's Ghana?" I said, "Where is Ghana?" And she said, "West Africa, in Africa." And I said, "You mean D Africa?" She was convinced. She was convinced that 45 was going to come into office and that things were going to kind of go a little south. So she was convinced, and she said, "Yes, we have to go." And I said, "Okay." My family and myself and my family, we're deep divers. So once we kind of lock on to something, we go all in. And so I said, "So what made you decide on Ghana, Zuri?" And she said, "It has a stable government. The economy is good. It is welcoming. And I think we just need to take a look, you know." And so I said, "Okay." I started researching Ghana. I started looking into it and just seeing, you know, who was here. And a lot of people don't know Pearl Bailey. Pearl Bailey used to live here. W.E.B. Du Bois has his home here, and he's buried here. And Ghana has been opening and welcoming to African Americans, us, for as long as we've been here. And of course, everyone knows about the slave dungeons, and most of our people came through Ghana.
Mhm.
to the Americas. Excuse me. So I really started looking into Ghana and just researching it. Well, 45 was elected. And when he was elected, I visited Ghana for the first time in 2019, which was the year of return. But at the time, I didn't know it was the year of return. I was just visiting with the tour group. And I came to Ghana in 2019 and absolutely fell in love with it. Fell in love with it for the 2 weeks that I was here. And came back to the States. 45 had won. Surprised everybody. I think it surprised him as well.
Yeah.
And I came back and told my daughter, okay, let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. We packed. I went to human resources. As soon as I got back, I went to human resources, said, can I retire? I was working with VA at the time, and VA told me yes. I was a VA nurse, and they said, you have enough years in, you can retire. In fact, you could have retired last year. I said, oh, thank you. Y'all was just keeping me around. So the election came. Yeah, so the election came and came into office. I'm all ready to go. I had put my house on the market, had set my retirement date, told my daughter, okay, let's go. And she said, oh, you know what? I'm okay. We don't need to go. I think we'll be okay. And I said, Zuri, you got me all hyped up to go. And now you're like, I'm not going. I said, in the meantime, I have fell in love with Ghana. In the meantime, I have fell in love. And I was going regardless. So my plan was to leave May of 2020. March 24th, I turned 60 of that year. March 23rd, the whole country, the whole world went into lockdown. And March 25th, I retired from VA all in 3 days. The house sold in the next month, but I was stuck in the States because the whole country, everywhere was locked down. So I was stuck in the States. I moved in with my mom, which she didn't mind at all. I moved in with my mom. And in October, when the flight resumed and you can move and everything had lifted, I left for Ghana October 23rd, 2020, landed in Ghana October the 24th, 2020. And that's almost how I ended up in Ghana. Yeah.
One trip.
Well,
No, one trip. One trip.
But see, again, I think
one trip.
So let's roll back a little bit. Prior to the conversation with your daughter, had you considered moving abroad at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just a little background. My dad was U.S. Navy for 30 years. And my dad was ahead of his time, my mom and dad. We traveled all over the world with my parents, literally. But we had never been to the continent. We traveled in Europe. My formative years were in Scotland, in a little town called Annellan, right outside of the Noon, right outside of Edinburgh. So I thought I was Scottish. I thought I was Scottish. But we had never traveled to the continent. We had never traveled to the continent. And around the time maybe I was 10, my dad decides that he is going to retire from the Navy because his children were growing up. And we were coming back to the U.S. And my sisters and I were devastated because we had traveled all over the world with my dad. We were in Europe. We thought we were Scottish. And so my mom and dad said, we need to get these kids back to the States so they can be aware of who they are. So we came back to the States. my dad was his grandparents were alive. My great grandparents were alive. So we ended up, he wanted to be home with his grandparents so he could help take care of them because they were in their 90s, and he wanted to be there as their grandson. He wanted to be there. So we ended up in a tiny little town in Alabama. You probably never heard of it, called Tuskegee. It was just,
Yes.
a couple of Commodores, some airmen, a world famous university. So we ended up in Tuskegee, where so these were my great grandparents. So I lived with my great grandparents, for a while. So we ended up in Tuskegee when I was maybe about 10. And so I had traveled. So I was used to having traveled and living abroad. But I had never, although my parents were Pan-Africans and we were raised, aware, I had never considered living outside of the US. I grew up, went to school, went to nursing school, but I had never, I watched HGTV and International House Hunters and all that like everybody else. But I had never really considered it until my daughter said, made that statement. Until she felt like there was an urgency at that time. And I said, okay. And that's when I researched it. And then when everything kind of fell in, settled down, she said, we don't need to go. I'm okay. So Zuri, if you're looking, mommy said.
If you had not retired, what do you think that you would have been doing if you had not retired and moved abroad? What had been your plan, or had you really thought through that?
I really was not planning on retiring. I was not planning on retiring. Like I said, at that time in March, the pandemic came along, and it just so happened, that everything kind of fell into place. I would probably still be working. I would probably be at the VA, the domiciliary in Atlanta, working. I worked with some amazing people. I had an amazing job. I finally landed that job where everyone says, you just can't believe this job, that job that you finally get, and you're like, they just paying me just for nothing, And I would probably still be there. I would probably be in Atlanta, living my life, traveling here and there. But nothing. But it was when the seed was planted and I came to Ghana, it was, I don't know, it wasn't anything I was planning on doing. It wasn't. And that's why I say, some people say you have to have a why. What is your why? For me, honestly, there was no why. I just knew that this is where I was supposed to be. It was just a feeling.
I find it really interesting.
It felt like home.
I find it really interesting because in the beginning of your life story, you said, we lived abroad. I didn't want to come back. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to come here because it wasn't a part of your existence as children. And then when you got here, right, it says a lot about how I think, how enveloping and encompassing American culture can be. Because there are people who say, what do we need to go for? I'm right here. Everything's here. And then when they right, step out of the United States, they go, wait, there's more happening. There's a bigger space here. And I mean, and again, no criticism ever to people who says this is my space. Yeah. Because again, we try to promote is your positive best life where you are. When we first started this channel, our whole thing was, hey, everybody should go. And then we really, so that's not really for everybody.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody. but we always are interested in people's, as you said, their why. And it is often confusing for people like me who said when there is no why, because what's the motivation? I think the male brain, we talk about it all the time, the female and the male brain. The male brain is everything's in a straight line here. What am I doing? And if there's no motivation for something else, then why am I doing something else? Right. You know, the if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's not, I don't think it's a failure of the desire to explore and see more. It's just we had a friend. We would go to this restaurant we all liked, and whenever we went, no matter how good the rest of the food was, he ordered that one thing. That's all he ever ordered. Even if he had a chance to taste all the other things, if he was ordering, he ordered that one thing. And I considered him to be a very adventurous personality kind of person. But there are just places I think, but I know a lot of men, if you don't have a reason for something, and I'm listening to a lot of the ladies talk and they say, it just felt right. What about Ghana felt right? What was the feel right for you?
I think when I was here, I felt like I could move in Ghana without restriction. I don't know if that makes sense, but I felt when I walked the streets, when I was out, I felt an ease that I just belonged. You know, I moved in and out of the markets. It was a flow. It was a flow. It just felt like I flowed with the energy of this place. And I do now. Even though I've had challenges and things, I still wake up every morning and go, I'm here. I'm living this life that I choose to live. And I've had challenges, but I feel at home. I definitely feel at home. And to, you know, just build a little bit on what you said. I know a lot of times when people are, I've, you know, heard different people say, you know your why. What is your why? Sometimes there's no why. There's just, I'm just doing it because I feel the urge to do it, you know, and maybe your why will come later. Because I found my why came later. Because I would say, why am I here? Why am I here? You know, but I relaxed and I just allowed myself to relax and just said, I don't have to have a why. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm enjoying my life. I don't have to put it in this neat little package. It just is. And I'm just enjoying it for what it is right now at this moment. So I don't know that's.
Oh, no. Barbara, that y'all, there are several things we could unpack there. I want to ask about the 2-week trip. Because one of the questions that we get is, if I'm doing a scouting trip, how long do I need? And some people are like, well, you know, 2-3 months if you can, but 2 weeks made a difference for you. What did your trip allow you to experience or do or know that made the connection and for you to let go of your life in the US? I mean, because when we say let go of your life, you're talking about selling stuff, selling your home, you know, and leaving.
Believe me, I have the most amazing family. Because when I came back, I was literally hesitating as I was boarding the plane, we were coming back. We were flying back that day. excuse me. I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't want to come back. I just think I can do it here. You know, I can handle everything from the States. I don't want to leave this place right now. And my mom said, girl, you don't get on that plane. You better get on that plane and get back here to Atlanta. And she said, once you get back, we'll figure it out. So I think in those 2 weeks, we, like I said, the year that I came in 2019, May, that was the year of return. And I don't know if you all had heard of the year of return, where it was 400 years from the movement of African bodies from the west coast of Africa to the U.S., 400 years that we had been enslaved, and that was the time. And it actually Jamestown here in Ghana and Jamestown, Virginia, were kind of like doing this link in where because slaves did move from Jamestown, Ghana to Jamestown, Virginia. So there was that whole 2019, return back to Ghana. But the travel group that I was with, they did not focus on that. That group focused more on not the touristy kind of stuff, but this is Ghana. This is life here. This is everyday life. We did see touristy stuff, don't get me wrong, but we saw market women. We saw the not so good side. And I think it was in seeing that and understanding that it's not perfect. Ghana is by no means perfect. It is not the utopia. It is not this, oh, kumbaya, we're just gonna come and everybody's gonna be, it's not that. And I think I was fortunate enough to see the raw and the real and understand that I could still deal with the raw and the real. And that I felt at home. If I had seen the touristy stuff, I probably would have been pulled in by the glitz, because Ghana is that too. You know, Accra I tell people, Accra is not a little village town. It is not a little village. Accra is a major metropolitan city on the scale of New York, and I actually think it's bigger than New York, land mass wise. It's New York, Houston, Chicago, Los Angeles. You can find fine dining in Accra. The airport is right there. It's a modern airport. We're not talking about a little village in the middle of some jungle. We're talking about a modernized, city. And then outside of the city, like anywhere else, you have your suburb and you have your rural. So I think it was seeing the everyday life and the everyday experience that drew me in. And it's not for everybody. This is not for everybody. Conveniences, if you're a convenience girl, if you got to get up and go to Walmart and get this and get that, you're not getting that here. If you have to get up and, go to the yard sale and go to the mall and do all of that on Saturdays, you may not get that here. It's a different life. And I think that different life resonated with me. That stress-free, just being able to breathe and relax, the slower pace, the being able just to not rush and relax. I think that's what kind of drew me in.
Yes.
Several
but
people
don't
have come
get me
in.
wrong now. Don't get me wrong. I do miss sometimes I got to come back to the States and get my fix. But I'm still kind of withdrawing from that chaotic, the chaos that is America, the convenience, the being able to go and get this, you know, I'm still withdrawing from that, and it takes time.
It does.
It takes time.
We've been living this way a long time, and many of us are hungry for a different pace of life, a different focus about living and connection to people, connection to ourselves. I see.
Got a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Run J Run asking, how did you decide on Winnebago versus Accra?
Winneba. Oh, this Diane. Okay, my sister Carol Baker. She said, "Hi, sister."
Yeah, I see you got a lot of people visiting you here from Toronto and Atlanta, and so you got a big show in today. So how did you choose your place?
Okay, that's another story. Excuse me, it's hot, so I'm just gonna
take your time.
It's hot. Okay.
We're gonna definitely talk temperature before this is over.
When I landed in Ghana, I really came as part of a group that was settling in a community. It was a group of people. We had all kind of decided we're going to move to Ghana together, and we were going to of expats, and we were going to settle in this community. I live in a little university town called Winneba, and the community that we were going to settle in is maybe 15 or 20 minutes outside the city limits. Once I got here that Saturday, I went to see the land that I had purchased, and I found out that it was not there. It was not there. No, I lost money. It's a long story, but I lost money and I lost the land. So I was literally here staying in a guest house, and I had no land, and I had lost $5,000 just down the drain. And I said, you know what? That's it. I didn't even unpack my bags. I was crying. I said, you know what? Just take me back to the airport. I'm getting on the plane. They said the airport is closed. I said, I don't care. I'll sleep. I'll sleep there, and then I'm just going back to the States. And there was another lady who was at the house, and she said, Barbara, before you go, come by and see me and just kind of hang out for a little while and if you still want to go to the airport and go back to the States Monday, you can go. Because I was devastated. Then I thought about it. I called my mom. I said, maybe what I'll do, I'll just travel around Africa. I'll go to Tanzania, South Africa, because I had sold my home in Atlanta. I had sold my home. And that money, I was going to build a home. I had come prepared to build a home and everything, and the land was gone. It just wasn't there. So I went to my friend's house. Unbeknownst to me, she had invited some people over who had land. And the land happened to be in the town of Winneba, in the town. Now, I was on the outskirts. So they convinced me to come look at this land in town. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't care. I'm just not going to do it. And they convinced me, and I did. And that's the land that I'm on now. So I came and I saw it, and I said, I don't know. And the one guy that was in the group with us, he was like, well, you know what? If you don't get it, I'll buy it. I love it. And I said, where do I sign? Because I knew if he wanted it, it was a good thing. That's what I was saying. You know what? Okay, you all can say what you want in the chats. I follow the men. Okay, I follow the guys. If he said he wanted it, you know what? I'm going to put my name on it. So, but it was not my intention to live in town, because I was with this group and we were all going to kind of expats living their own lives. So I ended up living in Winneba town amongst the community, you know, amongst the Ghanaians. So that's how I ended up here. They were good people. They literally held my hand. It is very important when you come to Ghana and you're researching land, because landholds are different. It's not straightforward like it is in the States. You have to know who you're dealing with, trust the people you're dealing with, and do your diligence. And it just worked out that this was a perfect place. And I came to Ghana and built a home. Never built a home before. And I came to a foreign country and built my own home.
We titled this, you know, that you built a home. And I want to make sure that you understand, when we spoke, I understood you built a house, but you have made it your home. What?
Yes.
The things that you shared in Exodus Summit around the flexibility that you have given your new place to fit into the life that is there. You're like, the power went out. I have solar in my yard. And that just means I get a chance to spend a nice, quiet evening on the porch with my, and I don't make it a deal breaker. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because when you talked about your money loss, I know that pain. And, you know, I would consider that a danger, you know, I would not, but you said, okay, I'm going to go at this differently with people that I trust. Can you talk a little bit about the flexibility that you had to have in your move? Because what I don't want people to hear is that this is what is necessary in Ghana. This mindset that Barbara is talking about is what you need, because the place that you're going is going to be different. You will be different in that environment as you learn more about yourself in the place. So can you kind of lay out a little bit about that?
I think I was just incredibly blessed to have the family that I do. I am incredibly blessed. I'm incredibly blessed to have the parents that I have. And my daddy, I'm a spoiled daddy's girl, okay? I'm spoiled. My father passed 6 years ago on the 11th of this month. Next week will be 6 years that my dad passed away. But one of the things that my mother and my father taught us, because you know, he was in the Navy and my mom was a Navy wife, and we always had to pivot. We always had to be ready to change plans, because you never know where you had to be. Hi, my sister. Hi, Carol. I see you. So we never know where we had to be. And this is the hallmark of my family, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my brothers, to take what you have and make the best of it. And how are you going to do that? And I even taught my daughters, you have 1 hour to shake it off. You got 1 hour, you can cry, you can scream, you can yell, you can go get some Ben and Jerry's and eat it all up with some pound cake. It don't matter. You got 1 hour to do it in. And then you get up and you start making moves. And you start making moves. So there has to be a resilience inside. There has to be a paradigm shift that says, I'm going to make this work, and this can work. And there's nothing that's going to stop it from working. And this was one of the beautiful lessons that I learned as a child. And, you know, at the feet, especially my mom, my mother, who's probably out there, and she taught us that you don't sit down and wait for life to happen. And you go out there and you get that, and you change that, and you make it work for you. And I did not have to stay. I could have easily said, you know what, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to Tanzania, I'm gonna go to South Africa, I'm just gonna bop around for a little bit, but let it be my choice and let it be my plan.
Yes.
To do what I chose to do. And I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna plant myself here. I'm going to make it work, because I come from that kind of stock. I came from that kind of people. My mom and dad, you know, when my dad was in the Navy, he was the first computer science. They trained him, and he was one of the first Blacks in, you know, computer science. And so my mom and dad were trailblazers. And just seeing that example from them said, you know what, you can do this. It's not always easy. And I want to tell people and have them understand. See, it's nothing wrong if you have to go back and regroup and come back. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, if that's what you have to do. But let that be your decision. Don't get stuck in the, you know, and mired down in the, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Because I'm also a mover. And I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I guess that came from my nurse training. I don't have time to sit and wait. If I walk in a room and someone is choking, I can't go, well, what did you eat? Is it bread or is it a bone stuck in your throat? I don't have time. I have to stop right then and make this, you know, I have to make it happen. So I chose. Yeah. I chose to make it work. And it wasn't easy, but I just have this amazing family. Because when I said, I'm just going to come home, my sister, Carol, I see you there. My sister said, you ain't got no home to come. My sister said, you ain't got no home to come to, and you're not moving in with me, and you're not moving in with Mom.
Make it work.
You're going to have to make it work. Okay.
Make it work.
You're gonna have to figure out something. And I did. And let me say this. It is not easy. It's not always easy to be out here without your sisters, your mom, your kids right here with me. A lot of things. My biggest fear, because I am Herman, you see, I am very non-techie. I'm like, how do you do this? And where's this remote? You know, how do you program this? Now, my youngest daughter's always like, Mom. My oldest daughter says, okay, Mom, come on, let me show you for the 999th time. You know, it's called YouTube and TikTok, and they're not the same. Okay. So my biggest fear was, how am I going to answer my emails without my daughters around? Because I could call them and say, I don't know how to do this. How am I going to get over that fear?
Right.
I just learned to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that you can't mess it up. You can't mess it up. You just do it till you get it right.
And you know, that's not the way. That's not the way. Maybe there's another way. You just, what I love hearing about your story is a lot of people feel like it's too late in my life to do something like this. And you are showing me, and I'm willing to be taught. You're showing me that it age is not a factor. It is your mindset. Am I willing to
absolutely.
be? Am I willing to be flexible? Raven's question, because I want to see if you want to share the details. So you got your land, you decided I want to build my home. Building a house under the best of circumstances is a trial. How did overall, can you give us kind of the timeline of this? They broke ground on this date, and I had a house on, in a year, in 6 months. What was that process like?
Sure. The house, I'm kind of on the hill where I am now. The house that's to my right had been vacant for 14 years. It was just built up with the shell, and it had sat like that for 14 years. And Ghana is not typical to, like we do in the States, go in and we're just, we have a house up in 6 months, 5 months. And in Ghana, they could build their house. It could take 10 years. Okay, they get 10 bags of cement. They're going to put up a room, another year and a half, they're putting up a wall, a couple of walls. So when I decided that here's where I was going to be, now mind you, I had sold my home in Atlanta and I had this certain amount of money. I started January the 13th, and I said, my mom and sister were coming to visit me in September, and I had to have that house built. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July 11th, I had completed the house and had moved in. And this was something that was just amazing to do in Ghana, because they usually don't, residential homes, they usually don't, everyone takes their time, they'll put up something, they'll stop for 6 months, but I was like, go, 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 go. And I had never built, in the States, I had not built a home. I bought my homes. So I didn't even play with Legos. I didn't know nothing about building nothing. I didn't even have a Barbie house to build. I didn't even build sand castles. So I came here, I didn't know what to buy. And I'm also in a patriarchal country that is, the men are the ones that kind of say, men, we kind of, we control things. And so now here I am, a woman, a foreign woman, and I'm building a home in Ghana and had never built anything. I was very, very fortunate to have a good contractor. It started out good. Towards the end, it got a little crazy. I had to fire him. The house was 85% complete. I had to release him, but all in all, it was a good experience. It wasn't a bad experience. It was a challenging experience, because it is a male-dominated country. Not to the point where women don't have a say, but the men are out front. And it just so happened I have a wonderful adopted Ghanaian son that I met when I got here. And he would kind of be my out front guy, only because I respect the culture. And that's another important thing. I respected the culture enough to say, I understand that this is the way it has to be. However, it's my money that's paying for this project. Now, if you can't work, then, but I do respect the culture. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
It did, because I put up Raven's question because I want to know those red flags for both the house build and the land purchase, because I think a lot of what I see on the internet is come buy land. And we've had family members who have bought land and it has not gone well. And so can you kind of share just high level What are some things, if you, now that you're looking back, that may have been red flags about the land purchase, what you knew, or what you could have been looking for in the builder that would have also kind of helped you to understand if the purchase of the land was going to be a secure investment, if your contractor was going to be able to help you to get to do what you needed to do in a way that worked for you.
I think one of the things that I would highly, highly recommend and suggest is that if you plan on building or buying land or acquiring land in Ghana, because in Ghana, no one buys land. You don't own land, because land is like air, it's like sea. Who owns the sea? But you acquire the land and you're the custodian of the land. Okay. Now you do that's out there. But you do pay your taxes, and long as you own the land. So my land is for a 50-year lease. And as a foreigner, I lease the land for 50 years. Okay, when I say lease, I don't mean that after 50 years I'm kicked off. So we're using lease in a different form. I cannot be thrown off of this land. As long as I acquire it and I can will it to my children or my son that's here, I am the custodian of this land. However, no one owns land. One of the things that I strongly urge do not try to build unless you have someone that you trust 100%. And I would even say boots on the ground. You have to be here in order to see your progress, to see what's going on. You have to have that daily. I was here every single day. The 5 to 6 months that I built the house, I can tell you on one hand how many days that I wasn't here, and it was 4. They called me Madam Project Manager. I was walking around. I had my notebook. I was walking around. I believe I had never built nothing in my life, but I can look around this room right now and I can tell you every, where day that block was laid, when they put this up. You have to be very, very involved, and you have got to do your diligence. You cannot take it. Well, they said, go here and do this. No, and you have to follow through. It's almost like you just have to check, recheck, double check, and check again to make sure that everything that you're doing is, on point and on square, because it can go. So if some guy, hey, you know what? I have some land that my brother has some land to sell down there. You know what? Him and his brother, they might not even know who the land belongs to. They might just be working together and run off with your $5,000, and you're sitting there building the house, and the real owner comes along and says, "Who are you?" And you like, "Who are you?" And so you have to do your diligence. You have to put in that legwork. You have to go to the land commissioner. I was just blessed that this piece of land that I'm on, our land commission is right over there, right over the hill. I can walk to his office. So I was able to go in there, sit down with people, sit down with attorneys. Does it cost extra money? Yes. I had this land surveyed 3 times, and it cost. But I wanted to make sure that I was getting what I paid for. I went to courts, and I spoke to the probates and all of that to make sure. Because if my name, I want your name on it too, because you're the judge. So if anything goes south, I'm coming to you. So I think that's one of the things is that you have to be very diligent. You have to be diligent, because this isn't the States. And to be honest, a lot of times you don't know who is accountable. There might not be anyone that you can go to.
Mm.
You hand Kwame your $5,000 because he's sitting there in a suit and tie, and you sitting there writing you a fake and hand you a receipt, and he's gone. And he just happened to be a guy in the suit and tie that, gave you a legal looking piece of paper, and you're like, and you'll say, well, I know his name was Kwame. Well, where does he live? I don't know. Well, what's his phone number? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I think sometimes we kind of get caught up in everybody's wonderful and going to treat me wonderfully. And it might not necessarily be like that.
So this
It's
question
about doing your diligence.
this question ties in for me. The question is from Co-Living Life. Were you among the diaspora who recently were granted Ghanaian citizenship? And if not, is citizenship on your radar? So that's a good question, because also, what was your residency or visa or citizenship status for you to be able to build? I think those two things are tied together. Was that necessary?
Before? Thank you, Dr. Tijuana, for that question.
So one of the things that Ghana has is the right to abode. You have the right to abode because we were moved, sold, kidnapped, chased away from this land, our motherland, Africa. The president gave us the right to abode. It means that you as a diasporan have the right to live in Ghana. That does not give you citizenship. That does not give you residency. That means that you can come and live here. Once you follow, but if you want, you have to follow the procedures to acquire that status. That also means that you have the right to acquire land and build here. Now, my path to, I am a resident of Ghana. I'm proud to say, no, I was not in, that 514 that just acquired citizenship, and good luck to them. I will probably look at acquiring my citizenship in a few years. I did marry this year, and however, even though I married a Ghanaian, I am not a citizen, but I acquired permanent residency here. So I am a permanent resident of Ghana. Citizenship is on my radar, but it's not something that I feel like I have to just run out and grab. I'm okay.
What was the residency process? How difficult was the residency process?
Were you able to do it in country, or did you need to do it before you left?
I did it in country. And Ghana changes, and that's why I tell people you have to do your diligence. Because when I first came, it took anywhere from 6 weeks, a month to 6 weeks to acquire residency. And then you had to be here, you had to be acquire your visa 3 times before you could apply for residency. Now they have completely taken that process out of the way completely. You can literally come into Ghana Monday, go to immigrations, and have your residency by Friday. Yeah. So it has changed completely. And I was like, what? It has changed completely. Someone was asking me a couple of days ago, is there a finance
economic solvency?
No. Because if they looked at my paper, they'd be like, girl, go home. No,
So,
you don't. You do have to show, I think it's 3 months of bank statements, but they're not looking at, money. They just want to see that you have money coming in. That of course you have a medical piece that you have to pass. They want a medical screening. You do have to go to the Office of the Diaspora and get a clearance letter allowing you to seek your residency. And that's not hard to attain. You can get that in an hour or so. And they will bring you in. What are you doing here? What is your, why are you here? What is your intention? They just want to know who you are and who's in the country. And other than that, it's a very straightforward process.
hold on, I see. Somebody said they can see us in Ghana. Yeah, you saw the look on our faces because I've watched several content creators who are in Ghana expressing their interest in Ghana. What I found interesting is how many men are drawn to Ghana. How many Native American, African American born men are drawn to Ghana. There's a couple that we were watching, and she is her family is Ghanaian and he's American, but she was raised in America. And they went to Ghana. And after they had been there some time, she was like, I'm ready to go home. And he was like, I'm never leaving. And so, and I know that a part of that has been how they feel that they were received. I know Tim Swain, I don't know if you all watch Tim Swain on YouTube. He is in Ghana and he raves about it. He took his family there. And so it has definitely been one of those places that I said, I really want us to put in a little effort to review. Have you considered any other area, broadening to living in any other area, or is Ghana it? Or is the city that you're in, is that it?
Yes, Winneba is it. Winneba kind of felt like, I told the story of how I ended up here when my land fell through and they found me this land. If I had known, as I said, God plants you where he wants you to be. The universe puts you where it wants you to be, because I would have been in Accra. I'm an Atlanta girl. I'm a Metro girl, but I was planted here. And this is a good place. This is the place for me. Yes, it is an effort for me to go to the, when I want to get out of the little sleepy town, I have to go into Accra, do my shopping, get my fix. But this is a good place for me to be. Would I have gone any further than Winneba? No. I just like being close to the airport. A lot of expats go to the Cape Coast, Elmina area. There's a lot that go up, further up north, up above Accra. This is perfect for me, this spot where I am. I'm close to the beach. I have 3 beaches I can be at. I'm right on the coast. So being close to the ocean is very, very important to me. And no, I would not go any further than not one step. I would not go one step further than where I am here, because I can, now that they're putting in the 6-lane highway, before it was a 2-lane.
Changed everything, changed the game.
Now it's 6-lane. Yeah, it is a game changer. It is a game changer. And so now I can be in the city in under an hour, 45 minutes. Before it could take you, it could take you 2 hours on a rush, but that's been a game changer. So no, I wouldn't go any further than here. I like the convenience. I like knowing that I can be at the airport in an hour and 15 minutes.
Perfect.
Will visit other countries, but I would not go any further than Ghana. I don't want to be in South Africa. It's probably take me a little too far away. I don't want to be in Senegal. These are places I would visit, but as far as where I would live, Ghana is it. And I'm just grateful that I landed here in Ghana.
So where you are, how is this is a common question. How is the community where you are? I know expats are in the area, but in terms of interaction with Black expats as well as interaction with the locals, how is that community engagement for you?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of Pats close by. I do have a couple, Chris and Tracy. They just moved here, maybe 2 blocks over from where I am, and they just moved into the community about 4 months ago. In fact, they saw me on an earlier video and they contacted me in the States. And they said, oh, we saw you. We're thinking about moving to Ghana. And lo and behold, they did. And they're neighbors now. There is another couple, Mr. and Mrs. Burns. They stay outside of the city. But there aren't a lot of expats here. They tend to go towards Cape Coast, Elmina. There's a huge group there, but not as many here. So I am amongst the locals. I am in the community. My neighbors are Ghanaian, and they're amazing. They're amazing people. I just don't know what to say. They're my neighbors. If I need anything, they're there. The police station is right over here. There's all kinds of little stores. When you're diaspora and there's not a lot of you here, everybody knows who I am. Really, everybody knows who I am. They may not know me by name, but they know who. There she is. They know who I am. So. And then my friend Aquila used to live here in Winneba, but she moved to Accra. Still mad. But I see her pretty often. So
okay.
But I am immersed in the community.
Are there any language challenges?
I was going to ask about language, adjusting to the climate, culture.
Yeah. Okay. As you see, it's Christmas and it's burning up. Oof, this is. So we are in our hot period. This is heading into Hamatan. This is the dry season. We just came out of rainy, and rainy season I think starts up in May, and it's not raining every day, but it rains more often and the temperatures are cooler. Right now we are in the dry season where it's hot. You see me fanning. And I about 2 months ago, I just put an air conditioner in my bedroom, and I wondered, what did I do before then, because it's like roasting. But is not Mississippi hot.
Okay.
Alabama hot, but it's hot. It's hot enough. And what was the other question you said?
Did you have any culture and language?
Oh, the language, no, because English is the official language. It is the official language. Everybody does not speak English though. There's Fanti, Hausa, Tree, and probably a dozen more. But with Fanti and Tree being the languages. And do I speak them? No. Nope.
What about,
I used to,
go ahead.
there was one of the little supermarkets I used to go to all the time, and the people were just gonna make me learn how to speak, the language. So every time I would come in, go in the store, they wouldn't even speak to me in English, although they spoke English. So I stopped going in there. I'm like, you know what, y'all ain't gonna do this to me. So I was like,
There's always a couple. It's like that here in the States
yeah.
still. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
from Florida, and my high school years were living in Miami, and there are parts of town where they wouldn't. But if they come into your space, you better know their language.
Yeah.
It took me a while to work through that in my
But I
head.
do try. I do try. I try, and they really appreciate it when you try. When you try, so I do know at the same, which means hello, how are you? So anytime I see someone, I say at the same, and they say, and then they go to talking. I'm like, yeah, okay. So Madasi is thank you. Aquaba is welcome. So I know one or two little specks, specks here and there.
Wow. My first visit to the continent was last year. It was the first time I feel like I was in a male forward culture. I don't know why I thought it was any different from the US, but how have you adjusted as a woman to that in a new space? I'll say it that way.
I tell people Ghana is not America 2.0. It is not a baby America. It is not a whitewashed America. Like it's Ghana, but really it's like America. It is so very not like America. This is a completely, totally different culture. And you have to respect the culture. The male dominant culture, I think, can trip up a lot of people into thinking that it's just men and they walk around with clubs and they're like, okay, you don't have a voice, you don't speak, blah, blah, blah. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, Ghana had their presidential elections today, and one of the gentlemen, John Mahama, who's running for president, his vice president is a woman. So possibly by the end of the evening, Ghana will have its first female vice president. So in that it is a patriarchal, I always have a problem saying that word, society. It just lends the man as being the head of the family, and he has to be recognized as the head of the family. And the head of the family, and it's such a beautiful thing to witness here in Ghana, because men embrace marriage, they embrace their role, and they do elevate their women. And I truly see Ghanaian men as appreciating the femininity in women. I had to learn to step back out of that and be more softer, because they like it. And when you say hello, I say hello, I just need help. Could you please help me with it? And they like that. They rise to that, and it's not dumbing down. It is not in any words dumbing down, because Ghanaian women are some of those most fierce women. They have a mind, they speak their mind, they have backbone, but they know also how to exert themselves without being overly aggressive.
Mm.
You almost have to see
Okay,
it in,
okay.
Hold
you
on.
know, in action. You have to see it in action. It is just like it's not like you can't speak up, but it's like knowing how to speak up, knowing
Mhm.
how, because for instance, I'll give a good one. I came in this wall here when I came in this entry wall. I came one day and I saw the wall was crooked. The way he was laying the brick, it was off, and I could just eyeball it and see. I said, no, sir, that is the line is crooked. And he said, oh no, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for. I'm a master. I'm a master liar. Blah 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 blah. I've been doing this. I can look at it. And I'm like, sir, it's off. And so I felt the heat coming, and I'm like, yeah, but I see this, and and then I said, wait a minute, just kind of, and I said, sir, if you don't mind, would you just take a look at and see what I see? Thank you very much. Thank you. And then he just kind of calmed down, and he went into that. Okay, all right, okay. Oh, you know what? It is a little thank you. And I said, thank you so much, and just went about my way, So it
I
works.
can see myself taking a lot of deep breaths. But
yes. Oh yeah.
the respect
Yes.
of the culture is going to take me farther than operating in the way that I always have. I have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And the men here lend themselves to you. They rise to you to meet you in these places and spaces. You're not just out there. They take control. It's like we take control. We're here for you. You just have to know how to approach them and how to appeal to the masculine, because unfortunately they watch a lot of, let's call it, stupid TV. And they get, well, I watched this movie, and this is how Black Americans act. I'm like, you watch Friday and you think this is how we act?
Oh.
So you have to kind of come in. Yeah, you're like, what? The real hot. Yeah, we seen them flipping tables over and you all like to fight, and American women are loud. And you like, no. So first you have to educate them to come out of that space, that what you see on TV is entertainment, is entertaining. Because my parents were married 60 years. My mom and dad were married 60 years. I told a Ghanaian man my parents had been married 60 years. He couldn't believe it. African Americans? Yeah, I'm like, my baby sister and her husband have been married 24 years. So somehow they don't see us as being long-lasting relationships, family, this type of. I heard one guy was running around telling people, oh yeah, they put their old people in nursing homes. All the old people go to nursing homes. I'm like, no. So I think it's having to break these kind of stereotypes that they still carry in their minds. Because I actually had one gentleman tell me, you all were the lucky ones that got away. Because I was asking, I said, why are you trying to steal this money from him? Because he was trying to pull some little hustle. And he got angry. He said, I can take it because you all were the lucky ones. You got away. I'm like, what are you talking about? He thought that we were on plantations making money. That's how they see us. You have money. You've been
Wow.
working. Because they have no idea. Some of them absolutely don't know. The ones that have traveled know some of the history, but here, even the dungeons, no.
Yeah,
And we kind of have this ideal that they know what happened or they are aware. They're not aware.
and I'm glad you said that. That's we I
Mhm.
think we share misconceptions on both sides
Mhm.
of the water.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
um, we've heard, they're very accepting or they're not accepting, depending on where you land. We've heard,
Mhm.
it's financially hard to live. It's dirty. We assume that
Mhm.
they understood our plight and it's all the same wherever you go, and it says a lot again about my concern about the disconnect
Mhm.
of the African diaspora.
Mhm.
That as
Mhm.
a people, we are so segmented in the different places we are. Africans from
Right.
Caribbeans, from Americans, from those who live in
Mhm.
Britain. From we have all these different
Mhm.
histories that are almost like they're separate. That there's no commonality back to them.
Right.
Where a lot of the cultures and a lot of other peoples, it always leads back to their homeland in some form
Mhm.
or fashion.
Right.
And 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 the research and reading and engaging, and I even think, when Barbara, people like you who say I went to live in Africa, you bring a measure of information and engagement that is often lost, and I
Mhm.
appreciate both your courage to do it and
Yes.
your courage to share information, because you can let them believe what they believe and
Mhm.
be like, "Oh, it had nothing to do with me," but to
Yeah.
share and say, let me tell you our truths so that we can
Mhm.
reconnect in some way.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with Dr. O. Yeah, colonization messed up both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
We are, we
Yeah.
are, we have the opportunity to find ourselves and connect. Um,
Yes.
and and I see intentionality from both sides. And to
Mhm.
be honest, Barbara, I took it for granted. I've always taken it for granted until today's conversation, that there was an
Right.
understanding that for for 400 years we were not just disconnected, we were dehumanized.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
our search is not just to find a cheaper place to live or affordable place to live, because I don't like to say anywhere is cheap. um, it is
Yeah.
for me, the connection, the desire to connect specifically with Africa is to know myself and to connect with who who I am, the part that I don't know.
Mhm.
And that the intention is that I don't know, but I'm going where people don't know either. And so
Right.
when you when you are in spaces with local people and you are dating, these are not just casual, these aren't just casual interactions. What are some, what is the most appropriate way to engage in that desire to understand or desire to share?
Um, I think you have to first accept yourself. I was in a women's group that we met in Accra once or twice a month. And we got into a discussion, and she said, Barbara, do you realize colonization was 10 times worse than chattel slavery? And I was like, she was American sister speaking. And you know what? I just completely, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. Nah, no, you just lost me. Colonization was worse than chattel slavery. You cannot, and don't even dare. She said, just hold on, just calm down. She said it was because we, as brutal as chattel slavery was to us, and it took everything from us, we never accepted it. See, they want us to think we accept. They want us to think, yeah, we eventually kind of settled down into this. And we were fighting when they snatched us from here. It told us we were fighting on ships. We were fighting on plantations. We were running away. We were doing. We never gave up. Colonization took away the complete mind. It trapped the mind, and it still lives today. It makes you say, this is not good. It is the reason why a Black child can pick up a white doll and say, this is beautiful and I'm ugly. You know, we were able to rise above that. So once I opened my mind up to understand, we did not take anything lying down, but they completely destroyed the mind in colonization. Because sometimes they do say his ice is colder than your ice, you know. So right. And see, as Black diaspora, our melanin and shared history pulls us together. When you're in a place where everybody is Black, everybody is this color, I don't have anything in common with you. I mean, I don't have to like you because, I mean, we are Black. But what we have as diasporans, and especially African Americans, we have that shared history. We can go to Newark, we can go to Watts, we can go to Harlem, we can go to Alabama, we can go to Birmingham, and we can still pull together and have that same, because we share. That's what binds us. But you're not going to come here now. It's starting to take hold, but you're not going to find Pan-Africanism here. It's starting to take hold, but that it does not. We don't have that shared history, because if you did, in 2019, when I went to the slave dungeons, some kids had set up a basketball court right there in the shadow of the dungeon. They was out there playing basketball. They made up a little basketball court right there in the shadow. We looked over and they were playing basketball. They put up a basketball on sacred ground. So when we complained and said no, they was like, well, what's the problem? They since, taking it down. But see, that's because the disconnect. Why is this so reverent? We know you left, but why is it, what is the, so until we can bridge that and get you to understand. Because when we do that, it's that disconnect.
I thought we were just going to be talking about houses.
When she started this conversation, she said she was nervous. Listen here, and I've been wanting to put this comment up here from Diane. Diane said this earlier, and I think this is valid.
Yes.
Your honesty and transparency today not just about I live in Ghana,
Mm.
but this experience for you, as a person of color, as a woman of color, choosing to live there, your why becoming an eventual versus a motivation.
Mhm.
You have really
Mhm.
tapped into an honest experience today. And I want to say before we stop out loud how much I appreciate what you've brought to the table today.
Thank you.
This has been
I'm
a true
I'm gonna be
eye-opener.
hashtag replay because I need to hear it. I'm gonna need to hear it again. This is touching. Move Abroad is about experiencing more of my freedom as a Black person, as a Black diaspora. There are a lot of places that appeal to me as a person. The move to Africa is not just hard, they're the hard aspects, the logistical hards. It is coming face to face with a deep sadness, expectation about connecting, trying to reach across the Atlantic to what I know I lost that I don't know how to connect to, that like it's a lot. When I'm trying to move to Spain, I'm just trying to make sure I got enough money to get out the door and that I can be there legally.
Right.
And to the honesty to this conversation, it is worth more than a visit for me. It is, I want to belong somewhere. I want to see my face in the faces of people that I don't know because I belong there. And so, yes, the conversation about
it is a much, it's a deeper dive. It's a deeper than and people go where they want to go. I tell them, I could not go to Mexico. I have to be here, and that's why I say here is where I belong. This is where I belong because I know I am an arc. I am an arc for what I don't know what. I don't know if family will come. I don't know, but I do know that I am a coming to full circle. Right over here, I have over here in this chair. I'm not going to get up and get them. I have. I will. Excuse me one minute. I bought these with me. My sisters and my family sees this repeat. They'll know. My great grandmother. These quilts are over 130 years old. These quilts. My great grandmother made these quilts, and I bought them here because I know one of my mother's favorite songs is "Lift Every Voice and Sing." When Hope Unborn had died, I am the dream of that woman who didn't think, who couldn't even dream imagine ever being free. I am the dream of my great grandmothers that were born. My mother's grandmother, I think it's my mother's grandmother, was born 3 days after slavery had ended. 3 days after the Civil War had ended. She was born. She was the first child born out of slavery. I am the hope. I am that child or that man or that woman that was snatched, just walking one day and then snatched and thrown on a ship, never to see their family again. I am that dream. I am that hope that has come back. And it's not everybody. It's not everybody's dream. It's not everybody, but it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And so every day, and like I tell people, don't think that I haven't wanted to leave here every day. Are you leaving? Okay, this is my son. He's leaving. I think last week I was ready. I'm like, I'm going. I'm tired. Y'all know what? I'm here. I'm done. Y'all can have it. I'm tired. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like something. What is it? Something inside so strong. It's just. And when I think about it, that walk from Accra, the beaches along here.
Mm-hmm.
They walk these beaches, headed to Cape Coast.
Yes.
Walking. And I think how indigenous people. I was reading a couple of days about the Trail of Tears. Because we're from Alabama and Georgia, and the Trail of Tears, and how they marched the Indians, how they just gathered them up and marched them. From Georgia and Alabama to Oklahoma. And it's like the people that died along the way. And I know that I am I don't care what you all say about Black people, about America. I am the strong. I wouldn't be here without strength. So everybody gets a pass with me. Because if you're strong enough to make it, you're strong enough to be here after everything that we have been through. We're strong and we're still here. Then why are we here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I have to say to folks that are saying it is a hard place. Ghana is a hard place. Mm-hmm. People come and they have to leave or they choose to leave. The ability to have the freedom of movement is mine to make. I am to be thoughtful regardless of. I am to be thoughtful about my choices, but they are mine to make when my ancestors did not have the ability to make those choices. My grandmother, my great-grandmother passed. She was 105. I was the oldest great-grandchild. When you brought your quilt out, I know exactly where my family's quilt is that's coming with us, that she made by hand. Yep. My great-grandmother held my children, her oldest great-great-grandchildren. Right. She also looked into the eyes of her great-grandmother that was enslaved. When I tell you, we are in a position to do what they could not do. She got to vote for Barack Obama. She had the choice to be like, this is the circumstances of what we have access to now. I'm saying I don't know if we're going to continue to have these choices into the future. Today is the day. You don't need a reason. You don't need a why. If you are curious about living, if you are curious about yourself, where you come from, Start
Mhm.
today. Start today. Find honest YouTube channels. Okay. Honest spaces where you can ask
Yeah.
real questions, where people are going to be transparent, like
Mhm.
Barbara, and say, it's hard here. People, people come with
Mhm.
assumptions, there's stigmas, there's, but it is mine. It is mine to grasp. It is my mistake to make. It is my lesson to learn.
Mhm.
It is my joy to have. And it is not anyone's right to say, you are a certain complexion, you are melanated, so your only place is somewhere, or they did this to
Mhm.
you, so you don't need
Right.
to be. It is my choice. And it is beautiful to
Mhm.
see us choosing, because as you said at the in this conversation, your mindset. If you think this is the only place, if you think the US is the best place on earth, let me tell you, you have bought into
Mhm.
the hype. You have bought the propaganda of no better health care, no better housing. There's no one is
Mhm.
experiencing happiness or joy better than what we are. Safety. Barbara is safe. She's been in Winneba, Ghana, safe as a single, now married Black woman. Safety is a real thing somewhere
Yeah.
else. Healthcare that
Mhm.
does not want to maim or make you, what do you call it, sick care is only
Mhm.
here. Other places that is not
Right.
centralized. You have
Mhm.
how are you exercising your choices today?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Any
Dr.
Right.
Linda's statement here ties into what I was going to say. You know, it's like an adopted child finding their birth family.
Yeah.
It's a process of
Mhm.
readapting to and finding out information about yourself. That's a difficult conversation because it's, why was I gone?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to engage with you?
Mhm.
We are adopted children returning to our families, and sometimes you were given up
Right.
because you couldn't do it, and sometimes you were given up because I couldn't afford to. It
Right.
doesn't always I didn't want you,
Mhm.
and this
Right.
reconnection with the continent, with our homeland, is the reconnection process in this adoption, and it is going to be difficult because there's
Mhm.
going to be this
Mhm.
exchange of information that you got to clear up the doubts and the questions and what happened to you, and what
Mhm.
happened to you while you weren't with us,
Mm-hmm.
and
And something happened to us
Right.
while you were gone.
right, and so it's a whole it's
Mhm.
an experience and a conversation, and
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we had to stop
I've
saying because
heard
it's dangerous over there,
from
because that means you don't understand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I've heard diasporans say, "Well, why didn't you all come and get us?" They as West Africans, well, we were sold into slavery. We was over there. Why didn't you all come get us? I was like, you done ask the people, why did they come and get you? When you go to those dungeons
Mm-hmm.
and you realize that this wasn't about capturing people, and I don't like discolored people. This is about money. This was about money, capitalism. That's all. It's just like this pen. I need this pen. I need to buy this pen to do a job. All these bodies was money to do a job. It had nothing to do. It was money. When you built
Hmm.
churches over the dungeons
Mm.
where men were under there, and you had the chapel
Mm.
over the men's done. You can hear them, right? You can hear their voices, and you're in the chapel. When you go to those dungeons, and the women were kept underneath, and the governor could come out and look down and say, point at the woman, and they brought her up, gave her a bath, washed her up, and brought her up there, and that was that. This was nothing. This was just capitalism, just cattle. We need people. We need bodies to work these fields, to work this tobaccos, cane, cotton. That's all. And if one died, just replace it with someone else. No compassion. It's just money.
So many beautiful comments.
Yeah, you got some people
So
sharing.
many beautiful comments.
Sharing in with you here. Hold on. Barbara is my daughter. So very proud of her. She's a very strong Black woman. That's lovely.
Oh, is that Mom? Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my mom, Barbara, baby. That's my mom.
She's here
Hey,
with
Mom.
you today.
That look okay. Hey, Aquila. I see Aquila. Mom, I tried to call you, make sure I was looking okay. You know, my mom's like, girl, put your lipstick on, put your eyeliner on, put your lashes. Don't be up there looking crazy. Hey, Aquila.
We are.
Yeah, that's my mom. She's like, don't be sitting out there. You see, if I had a mink coat, she'd make me put it on. It's too hot, Mom.
We want to encourage you to expand your boundaries.
Absolutely.
The space you live in, this is your home, this is your space. Represent your space, but recognize that you must give respect to the spaces you are uninformed about, that you don't have information about. Just because I haven't been to Utah doesn't mean the people in Utah are racist. You know, because I know very few Black people in Utah. That's an unfair characterization. I have family who lives in Utah. They wouldn't live anywhere else. And it's the same. It's the same concept about around the world. I don't make analysis about places I haven't been. I don't make analysis about people I haven't met. Are there dangers other places in the world? Just like there's dangers down the street from where you live. That's real.
Right.
It's ongoing. And exploration is information, and information is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Thank you for sharing your information and knowledge with us today. I told you we were going to give you 2 hours. I lied to you.
I just wanted to. I wanted to make one more point, because we are global citizens. When we lived in Scotland, my mother resonated with that area. She felt at home in Scotland. And people say, why Scotland? Scotland, fine. No, we are global citizens. Yes. We have the right, and we can put our foot anywhere. And wherever you land, and that's your home. One of the beautiful, like I can't say enough about my family. I really can't. You know, from my dad, my mom, you know, when we were when my dad was in the Navy, and he literally may have moved every 6 months, every year. We could have easily went into base housing. We never lived in base housing. If we were somewhere for 6 weeks, my mother would come in, paint, fix the place up. We never lived out of suitcases and boxes. She always created a home for us. And maybe that's where I get it from as well. Wherever I land, this is where I am. Whatever job I've had, I own that job, because you are not a temporary. You're here. What is your purpose? Because wherever you land, you have a purpose and a reason for being in that space. So we were never allowed just to occupy a space as a temporary. You had to own that space. And that's, you know, a lot of times that's where I get it from. I guess. It is just these incredible people. There was never, and I know that there are people who struggle with family, and I've heard people don't, you know, be stoic. Don't tell anyone your plans, blah, 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 blah. I came back telling everyone, I'm moving to Ghana. Told everybody. I told everybody, I'm moving to Ghana. I go to the bank, I'm moving to Ghana. And I tell the mailman, I'm going to Ghana. Next year you won't be bringing mail here because I'm going to be in Ghana. And
Hey.
I never, I mean, I'm that person. I'll tell anyway, yeah, I'm starting to diet today and I fell off and I'm back on the market. I put it out there. I put it out there, and there was never anyone in my family that said, "Are you crazy? What Africa is not?" No. From the moment I said I'm going, my family has supported. My family has supported me. My family has supported me. I could not do this without my mother visited. My mother visited 2.5 years ago, Mom? 2 years ago? I think at the time she was 84. My mom visited. And and then my mother's good friend, Lois just called me 3 days ago, and I'm gonna send her this video. She's 90. And she's called me, she said, Babs. And I'm like, what? They call me Babs. And she said, I'm coming to Ghana. I'm like, okay, when are you coming? She's 90. She said, when are you coming? I'm going home in March and I'll stay until May. And I said, I'm coming back in May. She said, when you come back, I'm coming with you. And I want to go here, here, here. She is 90. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, you make it happen. So I think I was reading something in I don't know if it was Exodus. Some of the one lady was saying, I waited late in life at 70 to decide to move to Mexico. I waited late in life. I'm 70. And I wrote back, I said, 70 is late?
No, not in our community.
Okay, so I will be, no, I will be 65. I will be 65 next March. I said, I will be 65 next March. Everyone's supposed to say, what? Girl,
I was about to say,
65.
come on now, because, hey, I'm telling you, I
Trust me,
couldn't tell. I was trying to guess your age when you with your post, and I was like, stop. You know you can stop. You have to stop. So,
but and so when she said that, I waited late for 70. I'm like, 70 is old? You know, and it's so funny because, you know, here they push people out of public office at 60. They're like, oh, why are you taking this at 60? Blah, 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 blah. These people, you know, you're too old. I'm like, this is not old. What is old? And here, when I tell them my mom lives alone, and they're like, what? Well, who lives with her? Nobody. And when I go home to stay, you know, in Atlantis, I got 2 weeks. And then she's like, how long are you gonna be here? I'm like, Ma, I just got here, you know. And you know, I have friends who are in their 70s. And then they're just here living life. You know, they got boyfriends. I'm like, you come to Ghana, you're going to get a boyfriend, you know. And, you know, women at any 70s, 80s, 90s, just live life and celebrate life. I mean, who puts this age on? I always say, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you are?
Ooh.
How old would you be? Remember back in the day when they used to write your name in the Bible and the date when you know? Well, what happened if the Bible got lost and you didn't know how old you were?
Wow. Because
right now, I forgot what year I was born, so I said 1980. I said 1980. I don't know.
You owning it.
But you know, but we can't, yeah. You know, every single day of this life that you have to live this life. There's no Why not? So someone tells you you're 70, you say, okay, well, you know what? Let me pack up everything, close the book, fold up, and now what are you waiting for, to die? Why? You know, there's too much. There's too much to live for. There's too much
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely. And we're about to go out there and live it.
Mercy made a good statement here. I'm gonna close out here.
Yes.
I think one of the things Mercy said here is about the history not being taught,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a large problem wherever we are in the world. Is our history is becoming washed out. It's happening a lot here in the States. It's up to us to maintain our
Right.
history. It's up to us to maintain and create the connection between the diaspora areas around the world.
Mhm.
We are a
Yes.
global community.
Yes.
We are a global civilization. We are second to none. Barbara, thank you for a great conversation today.
Excellent.
Everybody in the chat
Excellent.
today, thank you for a great conversation today. We are
You're welcome.
blessed to learn from you.
Yes.
Here at H&D Abroad,
Thank
we are about
you.
learning and community, and that's what I think we owned today. We'll be here again next Saturday
We will.
from a different
different place.
background. So y'all keep an eye out because we're coming to tell you
Wow.
something new. And
Absolutely.
as always, it's always glad to see you here. This was Miss Barbara Sutton. I'm Herman. This is the lovely D. This is H&D Abroad. We'll see you in a minute. Y'all have a good one.
Bye for now.
Bye.